Well, Laura, let's just dive right in. You're our queen of dental side gigs, but really dental professionals who are interested in exploring side gigs. And what I've been really wondering is how has the most recent economic, I would say, roller coaster of these last couple of years, how has that affected dental professionals as far as their desire to diversify and have different profit centers?
Well, it's been a huge eye opener because I think for a long time we were taught to just focus on the one thing you're good at. And that's going to be your source of revenue, which is also your security and your safety. And think about what happened 3 years ago. The world was shut down. Not only were dental practices not considered, they were considered non-essential services, but this community, all of the speakers, people who were depending on in-person events as part of their revenue streams, and I learned this from you as well, Vanessa. It was like that was taken away from you. So I think it's opened our eyes to realize that maybe I shouldn't put all my eggs in one basket. Maybe I should find other revenue sources so that I can create that safety and security. Not to mention the just the feeling, the peace of mind that you get if maybe you have a slow month and then you know
Exactly.
something might be coming in from somewhere else, especially as consultants. That's I think we all go through as consultants, that is a huge factor in our business, right?
Definitely, definitely. And while there are strategies we can employ to try to control that, sometimes it is just without outside of our control. So it makes me think about this idea of course, there's passive income, right? That we all want to have passive income. But then there's also this idea of what other active revenue streams, and where it would take our, it's not passive, it would take our attention to create like how do we decide what that might be for ourselves?
So I love this question because so often I see people, I work a lot with dentists and hygienists too. And so I think they're in a little bit different situation from the speakers and consultants because I think as speakers and consultants, we are already a little more adventurous in what we're willing to do with our careers. But when we look at the dentists and hygienists, there's a little bit more caution. So,
Mhm.
yeah, so I think I'm so sorry, Vanessa. I just forgot what the question was.
How do we no, that's okay. And I was just following you with you. I think that's true that like speakers and consultants are already, many of them working in the practice and creating the second gig. How do we know what else we might want to add? How do we
Yes,
decide what would be
thank
a good?
you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. I
That's
knew I
great.
was
That's a
going
great
somewhere with
question.
that. So what I see all the time is people are like, well, what are some typical things that dentists or typical things that hygienists can do? And that is really looking from the outside in. You're looking at other people and is there a list? Is there somewhere that someone can guide me and tell me what to do? But what I've found, so that one piece of advice I would say is it needs to come from the inside out and really getting to know yourself and what's important to you first so that you can then find that side gig that's aligned. Sure, there are side gigs that maybe you can just do very easily that just will make you a little bit of money and you want to do that. But if you're really looking for something that you might want to grow into something bigger, finding that alignment with who you are is the key. And so if we can really start to look at, okay, inside out, not outside in, then it's going to be so much easier to find something that you really want to do because that's part of it. Like we're busy, you're busy in
Yes.
your main gig. So if you're going to add something on the side, it has to engage you and excite you in some way.
Especially because it will take time and it will be active until you can get it to hopefully to a place where it requires less of you. It makes me think about the last time I stayed at an Airbnb. I thought I need to buy a house and turn it into an Airbnb. Like I would really enjoy that. And I just happened to stumble across that and recognize that, oh, that would be a really cool income stream. But besides stumbling across it, what can we actively do to determine from the inside out what we might enjoy?
Well, one I would say is be open, right? So a lot of times we block ourselves from dreaming So if you can be open to allowing yourself to dream and allowing yourself to just get creative in your thinking. Creativity, I think tapping into that is one of the best ways of really getting to know ourselves. So if you're looking for some really tangible strategies, one thing I love to do is think about what are think about your favorite memories in your life. And if you think about those and you really get into you'd want to sit down and really do kind of a meditation style practice with think of your top 3 memories in your life and dig into the details and notice what do those all have in common.
Mm,
And there's probably, I know I see your wheels spinning,
yeah.
probably there's this one factor that runs throughout all these moments, and whatever that is what you should be able to express in your side gig. So let me give you an example. Do you want an example?
Please.
Okay. So I actually call this life purpose. This is like our finding your life purpose. So I have discovered through looking back at those moments in life when I feel amazing. These are memories. They all have to do with connection. It's because I connected with someone or other people. So my life purpose is not to do dentistry or to teach people how to find careers. My life purpose is to have and create connection.
Mm,
So if I can create connection in everything that I do, if I can create connection in my relationships, if I can create it when I just go to the grocery store, like if I go to the grocery store and I have this amazing interaction with someone that feels really special, I leave feeling exhilarated. It's because I had that little moment of connection with someone, right? And it can happen in the smallest ways. If I can express connection through my work,
yeah.
there's the passion. And that's
Mm.
what I can see that I'm meant to do. I'm doing what I'm meant to do on this planet. So if you can look at that's a great way to find out like what is your life purpose. It's not your job. It's actually that talent and gift that you share with the world that also benefits you
Mm.
and that you can express through your work. And looking at memories, your favorite memories, maybe going through old photos or thinking about what you like to do as a kid, those or what you like in your current work. Those are all good clues to help you figure out, okay, what is this thing that I need to experience in my work?
Isn't that a fun exercise? I mean, that's really kind of delicious, actually. Like, I can see where you could take a lot of time over time to really think about this and continue to have memories that keep popping up and then start recognizing. Like, it makes me think about when I was a kid, I wanted to be an author. Well, I had pictured being like a famous novelist, but it's not what I am, but yet I still create content every day. And so it's kind of fun to go back and see like that. I think this is a fabulous exercise. And
Oh,
so when they take it from here, so when we get to that point where we kind of highlight the gist of that memory and how we could replicate it, um, then what?
oh yeah. So that's a great question. And let me also add, I love what you said with your example because another example I use to help people understand this is Oprah Winfrey's life purpose is to be a teacher,
Mm. Oh,
right?
interesting. Yeah, and she is.
she
But
she
she's
she
yeah.
teaches, right? She teaches in everything she does, but she's not a teacher in the conventional sense that we would think,
Mhm.
right?
I love that. Now she has the school. I mean, that's neat. That's
Yeah,
neat.
it's really neat. So then what, right? Well, first you need to first if you can just have fun with it, like none of it, all the stuff I do is like, let's not be too serious, right? So
Yeah,
when we
I
get
love
too
that.
serious, then we put pressure on something and it kind of ruins the fun. And that fun is so important to tapping into your creativity. So really journal about this, look at the details. What are these common elements? When you figure out what is that one thing you need to experience in your life, then just notice it, pay attention to it, and notice how you get to express it in your work right now. And so then you can look at, okay, what are other things that could allow me to express that? So,
Mm,
like taking connection again is, um, can take a while, by the way. It took me a while to really accept that, okay, this is what I'm meant to do in this world is to create connection. And I realized that that was why, side note, doing dentistry was so painful for me because that didn't allow me to feel connected. It
Mm,
actually, for me, and this is not true for everybody, so it's also very individual. For me, that made me feel totally disconnected because I looked at my relationships with patients and felt like we were opposite sides of on opposite sides and had different agendas. So I couldn't ever get that connection. And
mm,
it helped me understand why that was so painful for me. But
mm.
now the work that I do, it's like the people I get to have conversations like this with, like, I get to do deep, meaningful conversations with people for a living,
All
and
day, every
that's
day.
all day, every day, and that's how I feel connected with people. It's like my love language, right? In a
Wow.
way. So, it's
Yeah.
really then translating that and looking, okay, what are some things that I can do that can express it? Because a side gig is, yes, about income, but again, we want it to be something that we,
Enjoy.
yeah, enjoy and engages us and gives us some pleasure and
Mhm.
excitement.
This is such a juicy topic. I wish we had like 3 hours and we could just do a whole workshop here, which I know you do have a workshop. We'll talk more about that after the recording, I'm sure, about some of the ways that that our listeners can engage with you. And I love that you're coaching professionals on this. I think especially in dentistry, we I think it's especially needed in dentistry. And I'm wondering before we wrap up, if there's something important that we haven't said that we want to be sure and say for our speakers and consultants that are listening in, that might be feeling like, I really would like that security of having some other secure profit center in my business. And I would add, if I could just add here too, as I look at my business, it's grown over the years, and ultimately my business is an S corp with a different name than anybody would ever recognize, right? It's like only the IRS knows me with this other name. And but in that S corp, we have a profit center for photography. So like that's completely separate from what we're doing as a speaker and a consultant here. We've got photography. We also have the bureau, which is its own separate thing. So it's like as you keep adding these other profit centers, it can still be connected to your business as a speaker and consultant, but yet could have an entirely different avatar of the ideal fit client, right? Could be a different client that it serves, and that would be similar. Um, but there's also the idea of buying up a house and making it an Airbnb, and that sounds like a whole lot of fun to me. So, is there anything that would be important for us to talk about that we haven't mentioned?
Yes, and I'm gonna tag off of what you just said, and that a side gig can be whatever you want it to be, right? It could be a job, it could be a startup business, it could be a segment of your business already. That,
Mm.
like you said, there's photography somewhere in there that you, and I know where it is in your, right? But so it can be whatever you want, and there are no rules. I mean, there are rules, but we can make our own and we don't have to always be put into a box. So I would say go with really allow yourself to be creative when you're trying to figure out how you want to do a side gig, and if it's part of your business, great. If it's a totally separate, a house rental or something like that, that's great. But talk to people who are doing it, and this is something you teach so well, Vanessa, is like really build relationships and get to know people, because that's where you're going to see opportunities and make connections and find the path to get your solutions.
Awesome. Thank you for that wonderful um, exclamation point at the end of our conversation here. I think we're going to take this back to the main room now, where I'm sure we would have more to talk about on this subject. So thank you, Laura, and let's go back to our summit.